Hey, Bulls and Bears. It is Thursday, August 5th, 2021. Thank you for joining me. So, just as predicted, right on time, the eviction moratorium has been extended. That's right. The economy is doing so good. The economic recovery is going just as planned. And it's doing so good that we have to extend the eviction moratorium and the ban on landlords being able to get rid of tenants that are not paying their rent. Now, let's do this again. Let's tie this in with the labor shortage, right? So, wouldn't it be an incentive for people to go out and get a job if they actually had to pay their rent to keep a roof over their head? Or is that just me? So 9+ million job openings everywhere I drive here in Southern California. Help wanted, help wanted, help wanted. I saw a sign up at Arby's restaurant, 14.50 an hour minimum to start, which is really not anything here in California. It's not really going to help you afford your own place. You're going to have to get a few roommates at that wage, but places are hiring. But in a lot of areas around the country, wages, not just here in Southern California, but wages in many areas are not enough to keep up with just the cost of living. So getting rid of the eviction moratorium may not solve the issue of the labor shortage because a lot of people are still going to be discouraged from working with the cost of living just being too high. But I definitely think it's part of the puzzle. So here's what happened just Tuesday, a couple days ago. And keep in mind the CDC nationwide eviction moratorium ended on July 31st. So we only made it a few days before they implemented a new 60-day moratorium on evictions. Now, according to the reports that I have access to here, this is not completely nationwide, but it does cover most counties in the United States. And it has to do with the number of illness cases, etc. But let this be a wake-up call for those of you still saying that I'm wrong, that there is a great economic recovery. Yes, it may be a recovery for some people, but not for most people. All right, and a lot of people that are able to pay their rent at this time are not doing so well. Most of these people are living paycheck to paycheck, and it was like that even before the sickness was rolled out, which was about a year and a half ago now. Right, again, if the economy was doing so good, why do we have 11+ million households not paying their rent? And when you look at the average number of people in each household, when you have 11 million households behind on their rent, that's close to about 27 million people living in households that are behind on their rent. So don't you think the 27 million people, if they needed to actually work to pay their rent, they might go out and get some of these jobs? And again, the jobs don't pay enough in most areas. I'm not saying this is the solution, but it's definitely part of the problem. So no, they cannot let the eviction moratorium expire. I think it's going to have to be extended permanently because the wages are just not high enough to keep up with the cost of living. Again, we have the inflation being pumped into the economy via the money printers, via endless creation of digital currency. And I think we're going to see a lot more tensions rise. We already see people out holding signs and protesting the whole situation of evictions. But we're going to start seeing more and more stories like this where landlords get targeted. Recent story right here out of Tampa Bay Times. Evicted residents bound, gagged, and beat homeowner in Brooksville. So tenants are going to be revolting in many different ways. These look like some fine individuals. I would never have any problem, renting to them if they came to me and wanted to rent the property. But seriously, sadly, we're going to see a lot of more stories like this where landlords get targeted. And it's not going to be the big corporate landlords that are sitting up in an office somewhere on the 30th floor, somewhere in Manhattan. It's going to be the local mom and pop landlord who lives down the street from their rental property, and then the tenants know where the landlord lives. Those are going to be the landlords that are going to be in most danger. And not just in physical danger with stories like the last one that we just looked at, but financial danger. Most landlords have a mortgage, right? Most people do not own their home free and clear, including landlords, unless you're a mega corporation. Then you probably do, because you paid cash. And a lot of the corporations that do that have access to the Fed window, let's be honest. And I still hold the belief that at some point, someday, the money printers are going to be the landlord, the biggest landlord in the United States. And this story here is out of North Carolina. Landlords say they are hurting. Absolutely. But you know who's not hurting is the mega landlords that have hundreds and hundreds, in many cases tens of thousands of rental homes, because what can they do? They can just raise the rent on all the hundreds of people that are paying their rent to make up for all the people that are not paying their rent. ABC News, as evictions loom, rent is out of reach for most low-wage workers across the U.S. And the key words right here, low-wage workers. What are most of the jobs that we're seeing right now that are available? Mostly low-wage jobs. So even if all these people that are not choosing to take the entry-level job, the labor shortage, even if most of them went out and got a job, it's still likely not going to be enough, because why? The cost of living and rents are too high for people to afford. Why are they too high? Well, a lot of reasons, but the eviction moratorium is definitely part of it. We also have to look at the housing market. The high home prices are forcing people to rent in many cases. When rents are allowed to come down, home prices may actually stop going up or may even come down. And on the other hand, when home prices stop going up, rents may start to come down. You know, one affects the other. Now, this latest moratorium, the 60-day one, which will probably be extended again, is being challenged. Now, the current administration has insisted that the CDC does not have the authority to act and pointed to the recent Supreme Court ruling stopping it from issuing a new moratorium without the backing of Congress. Only one day after the new policy, a coalition of real estate groups asked a federal judge to halt the new protections. But, and we talked about this, Congress left on recess for August. They're going to be out several weeks. So yes, in the middle of summer, Congress gets a multi-week vacation, or what they're calling a recess, right? Kind of like kids at school on a playground. They're taking recess. And guess what? The members of Congress that are going on recess, they're probably not at all close to losing the roof over their head. Another recent article, CNBC, why tenants are struggling to pay their bills despite $46 billion in rental relief. Well, the rental relief doesn't go on forever. Eventually it runs out. Does rent ever run out? No, unless you've got a really nice landlord, rent never runs out. Now, what about all the people that were able to save up more money during the shutdown? Well, most of their extra savings went to the wealthy. Well, a lot of these people went and paid off debt. Debt to whom, you ask? To the banks. Most people that are in debt to some sort of bank. So the people that were able to pay off their debt and that had extra savings because of the shutdown ended up just making the rich richer by paying off some of their debt to the banks. And looks like that's the name of the game. It's the wealth transfer. It's the rich get richer. As we see the poor and the middle class continue to get pummeled and decimated via the hands of the money printers. Let me know what you think about this eviction moratorium. Another 60 days. Is it going to be more? It's going to have to get extended again. My estimate is yes, it's going to have to get extended again. You let me know. Thanks everybody for watching. Stay well, stay safe, keep stacking. Bye for now. Peace.